Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are the Idle Zone Syndicate, and you've joined us this evening. Our special guest is Alex Torkelson, fresh off a win at the Big Bass Bash at Grand Lake of the Cherokees. Nicely done. Round of
Thank you.
applause. Local boy done good and came home to visit with a bunch of guys that didn't.
That's pretty much said it best there. Thanks. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
that's right. Yeah, thank you.
Well, I didn't donate, but I bought this college shirt off Alex back in, he says 2018. Um, I don't remember. So it was yesterday or earlier than that. So anyway, so what's it like to win 100 grand?
Uh, well, to be honest, I never really felt any different until they gave me a check for 100 grand, and I took it to the bank. I took it to the bank and said, I need to make a deposit, and I've never gave a check this big before, so I didn't know if there was anything different about it. But gave them the check, and it took a little while. But yeah, once it actually cleared, I was like, okay, this feels a little bit different now. But no, it was pretty awesome. So I fished it with my father-in-law. We fished pretty much everything team tournament wise together. I fished a deal over at Keystone with one of my good friends, but up at Grand, I fished with my father-in-law and another friend. But yeah, we fish a lot of stuff together, and generally have been pretty fortunate to do pretty well. We've come close to winning, but finally got to win one, so it felt pretty good.
That's awesome. Hey, how is Randy doing, by the way? I know
He's good.
He's good. Well,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, he's a whole lot better now.
Yeah. I'll forever be his favorite son-in-law, I hope now.
Well, let's hope. Good night. I don't know how you couldn't be.
But yeah, no, he's good. Catching a bunch of fish still.
Sweet.
So did you all split the money, or did you get it all?
No, we split it.
Good deal.
Yeah, we're in a 50-50 from the start, so no matter what happened, that was the deal.
That's a good deal. I got a couple questions along those lines before Kyle gets into the beating on you about what you caught it on and all that, because I know that's what's coming.
Nuts and bolts. Nuts and bolts.
So, did you win just 100,000, or did you all get the first place money for that hour too?
Yeah, so we got first place money for that hour, and then I run a nitro and was able to get nitro awards, so I got another 8,000 from nitro as well.
And how much was the hourly deal? 1,000?
1,000, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So nice. So $109,000 actually.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's cool.
Very cool.
So Mr. Rich, who finished right behind you, was our very first guest at the Lake Lodge.
Oh, really? I know Kevin fairly well too.
Yeah. So we got his picture on the wall, and underneath the dollar bill from him, he was our first guest.
That's cool.
And so I texted him, congratulations. And, he was cool. But I noticed you guys weighed in at Southwinds in the same hour. Did you see each other at weigh-in? Like, was it at the same time or?
No, so it was probably 10:30, and we were out on the lake, and we were fishing, and I would update the leaderboard, just to look to see if anybody had beat the guy from the day before. And I was like, oh my gosh, because me and Randy both know Kevin. Like, Kevin caught a 628. That's cool. And so we kept fishing, whatever, and we go to what our big fish spot is, and what we call our big fish hole, and pull up there about 11:15, and my second cast I caught it. And so it was one of those deals where it's like, well, I feel like we got to go weigh it in now. I'm not going to wait, a fish this big. Because on my scales, it bounced from 623 to 633. And it never would lock. And I was like, dude, this is going to be, really close. And so my mom was up there. My dad, Chris, Melissa, all of them were up there. And we all stayed over at Bernice. And so I called my mom and said, hey, I'm going to come weigh a fish. I'll come to the Southwinds, so you can see it. And so we drove to Southwinds and weighed it in, at like 11. I think it was like 11:30. So it wasn't like, intentional to weigh it right behind him, but I wasn't going to sit there and wait, and chance anything with that fish. So we just ran over there real quick and weighed it in.
Yeah. It's an interesting It's an interesting, dynamic, that whole tournament, because you don't, like, I can imagine what was going through your mind, when you see his come across and yours is close. That's kind of a tough decision. For me, it would have been a tough decision to make man, I don't know. It's going to be very close whether we even win this hour. Maybe I wait till the next hour, but you didn't want anything to happen to the fish, and all that. So
no, and to be honest, the hourly never even crossed my mind.
You just knew you had one that was in the running.
Yeah, because I think second place in the hourly is $800. So you're looking at $200 difference there versus, if the fish throws up a shad, I probably don't win.
That makes sense. Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
I was like, we're going now. So we went and obviously was fortunate enough to come out on the right 100th of the side. Right.
It's a pretty cool tournament for those people watching that don't know anything about it. It's a bi-hourly tournament. You pay, each person pays an entry fee. You can have more than 2 people. You can have 4 people, 5 people in the boat, as long as it's not over the rating limit of your boat. As each person pays an entry fee, and they've got kids divisions, and where kids can catch anything from crappie to catfish to whatever. And then they have a live leaderboard, which makes it very interesting too. I caught a 4-pounder on my 10th cast and waited and waited and waited and waited and waited all day, because it just, if I'd ran it right in, I'd have been on the leaderboard for a while, but I never did win anything with that fish, because everything had to be over 4, and that one was right at 4. So,
yep.
It's
we had, I think, the first day we had 20 pounds on our scales and never cashed a check.
Yeah.
And we weighed, I had a 299 that I weighed in, and it flashed 3.0 and then went to 299. And, I got like a $50 lose gift card for that. But yeah, we weighed like a 412 and had a bunch of others, just 3.9 to 4.0 something, that were like, well, we can keep them in the live well, but which we did. We kept what we could keep in the live well, and then every hour it was, I think 430 or 420 was the lowest weight to catch all day, or maybe in 2 days.
I think 422 was the smallest check.
And I think my father-in-law weighed in a 414 that hour. So yeah, we just missed that one, but
yeah,
it was.
And that exact weight, that 299 you had was 100th away from $250.
All right.
So because if you land on 3 or 4 or 5 exactly, it's a $250. So there's a bunch of different ways to win some money in that tournament, and it's crowded, but it's fun. Everybody seems to be cordial. At least everybody in the area I was fishing was pretty cordial, and just understood that it was going to be crowded, and it was, and it is what it is.
Yep. Yeah, we never had any bad run-ins. When I submitted my nitro claim, I had to fill out how many people were in it, and they filled it out for me. There was 1,430 entries. So I mean,
It's 1,400, so that's 1,430 people, and there was a lot that were fishing by themselves, like me.
yeah.
So there was probably 500 or 600 boats on the lake.
Oh yeah, at least, yeah. Plus, we ran into people just fishing too. I mean, they didn't even know the tournament was going on.
Right, which amazes me. That how can you not know that this is going on? But
yeah, there was. We pulled up onto a point down lake that we were coming out of a pocket, and there was no one on it. I was like, well, we got to fish it. There's no one on it, and as we pull up, another boat comes from the main lake, another boat comes from the other side of the pocket. So there's 3 of us fishing at one point. And at one point, we're all 3 casting, and we all see the same group on live scope, and we all 3 casting to them. So, I mean, it's just busy. But, I mean, that was part of it. I mean,
yeah,
nothing you can do about it, just other than fish.
Yep. Well, that's a good transition into Kyle.
Alex.
He's going to ask you now about live scope and how you caught him.
Just first things first, man. Sincerest congratulations. I think it's pretty cool. And we appreciate you getting on here and chatting with us a little bit. And I think it's pretty neat that it's kind of a family affair. You said you had your mom and dad, if I wasn't mistaken, there at the weigh-in to watch you weigh in. That's cool.
Yeah, no, it was fun. We had my mom, dad, a brother, my aunt, uncle, cousin. My father-in-law was obviously fished with me. So yeah, we all stayed in the same place. So we made a whole weekend out of it. And we had a couple other friends that stayed with us. So yeah, it was fun. Had a grilled out Saturday night, and it was a great weekend too. It was nice. Like I think it was mid-80s both days. Couldn't ask for a better weekend of fishing.
It was
That's
nice.
awesome.
They did not stay at the Lake Lodge, Grand Lake of the Cherokees. By the way, but I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will sometime.
I will come stay. I promise.
We were full.
I figured you probably were. We have Chris has a camper over in Horse Creek, and there's a couple of rooms that we've stayed at for years over there, and so it's just we all went together. It's easy.
I'm just messing with you.
No.
I fished on the same state team as Chris, so he's a good stick also.
Oh yeah.
How many years experience do you have on the lake? How long you been fishing down there?
By myself, probably since 2018, since I bought a boat. I mean, I bought a boat as soon as I graduated college, and I've been spending as much time up there as I can. But I mean, I've been fishing everywhere around here since I was a little kid. I mean, my dad and Chris have taken me fishing all over the place since I was little. I mean, I think there used to be a Fishing Pals trail that went on when I was young, and it was a pretty big competitive trail when I was a kid. I mean, there'd be 90 to 150 boats, and so we always go fish those. And I mean, I think I won my first one at 5 years old. So
nice. It's
been doing this fishing at least for a long time.
So walk me through, your story on, the tournaments that you fished up until this tournament, this Big Bass Bash event, and kind of your success. I know you fish Anglers in Action, if I'm not mistaken, and I see some pictures on Facebook once in a while, you holding up some big ones. So just kind of walk me through some of your success this year so far up into the Big Bass Bash tournament.
This year's been kind of up and down, really. I fished the BFL in February, and it was pretty dang tough. I think I had 2 for like 7 pounds, and my co-angler had 2 for almost 9. And he had a top 10, which was awesome. I'm glad for him. I was on my co-anglers to catch fish.
Yeah.
But I fished Nichols as well. It's been okay. I fished future bass. There was one before the classic, the week before the classic.
Yeah.
My father-in-law and I fished. We double entered Southside hookers that day and future bass, and we got second in Southside and eighth in future bass that day.
Yeah.
And then let's see what else. I fished Keystone Lake a lot. I grew up on Keystone, and they have a pretty big jackpot trail we fish out there.
You live around Tulsa, I'm assuming?
I live in Coweta now, just southeast of Tulsa. Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
like 15 minutes from the river.
Cool.
But anyways, I fished. There's a Bass Nation, the divisional at the river, went on first week of April, and
Yeah.
I finished that, and I ended up getting ninth in that to make nationals at Grand November. So have a chance of the classic in November at least, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, something to look forward to for sure.
So then kind of just fishing here and there. I mean, I cashed checks, haven't had any big, I haven't won anything yet this year. Just cash a check here and there and kind of just kept going. But yeah, usually once Memorial Day hits is my favorite time to fish. So I like fishing deep, and Grand Lake's usually pretty good to me in June. So
You kind of, I'm assuming, since we're a little bit younger than the two on my left-hand side of my screen, I'm assuming you use forward-facing sonar to your advantage.
yes.
Approximately how much of your day do you think, percentage-wise or whatever, how much of your day do you spend using your forward-facing sonar transducer to look at a fish?
Man, I look at it a lot more so to see. I don't go out chasing fish in the middle of a creek. I can't. I'm not real comfortable doing that. I mean, I've done it and I've caught fish doing it. It's not my favorite thing to do. So I mean, I use it a lot to look for fish, to look for a difference in the bottom, just something different. Brush piles, that kind of stuff. So I mean, mainly, yeah, I look at it a lot, but I'm not casting at fish, if that makes sense, every cast.
Yeah, you're kind of like what I do is, see where the shad are at, kind of help you clue in on
Definitely.
different, even if sometimes you do cast at a fish, you get to kind of clues you in on what mood they're in, if they're running after it or just running away from it, you need to do something different.
Yeah, and I mean, I've caught a bunch of fish, looking at it and throwing at them, but yeah, I definitely I definitely use it a lot. I mean, Friday I went up there to fish. I got there about noon, and wanted just to go look around, and messed up one fish. I pulled up to a point that I usually can catch 2 to 3 pounders on just to catch fish, and I saw about 12 or 13 of them out there on live scope, and threw out there in first cast. I had a 591. I was like, well, you idiot. That's going to cost you some money tomorrow. But
Never fails.
I never even got to fish the point again, so I should have just sat there and wailed on them, I guess.
Yeah. That's the old gift that keeps on giving right there. It's just like dangling the carrot in front of the dinosaur,
Right.
So how much, so other than that, the day before, did you practice before the Big Bass Bash tournament?
I went up the weekend before Memorial Day weekend just to go. I mean, I had a 4-day weekend. I don't work Fridays. I have a good enough job where I don't have to work Fridays. And so, yeah, I went up there twice Memorial weekend, and it was stupid. I mean, it was, 60, 70 fish days. So
Are they, I'm assuming, I haven't been down there in a little bit. I'm assuming they're pretty much starting to transition into summer pattern pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't fully there. You catch a bunch of little ones as well, but yeah, I mean, I had 20 pounds both days I went in practice, and so yeah. But I mean, both days in the English or in the Big Bass deal, we had 20 pounds as well. So
yeah, what's a couple of your favorite techniques this time of year, and just a real general part of the lake that you like to fish? Dirty water, clear water? Just, are you one of them guys that are you junk fishing and just running around, or what are you doing?
No, I mean I pretty much just fish points predominantly. I do fish brush, but I don't focus on that. If there's current, I'm not fishing brush really. I really do fish from Wolf Creek to the dam, and can find schools of fish in Wolf Creek to the dam. So
Nice.
I, the Memorial Day weekend, I stayed down lake the whole time. Never, I mean, I don't think I went above drowning.
Yeah.
From the dam to drowning, and then Friday I went up and I fished for 4 hours and could have had like 20 pounds from Patricia to Wolf Creek. So I mean,
Yeah.
you just gotta, I guess, adjust to how they are. I mean, the water clarity up there is a little different than it is down lake. So
Most
you can
definitely.
you can find them schooled up anywhere. I mean, there was an Anglers in Action 2 or 3 years ago that me and Randy had fished in June, and we found 2 schools in Wolf Creek that were the best schools I've ever fished on the lake. And by the time we took off, I think we were boat like 10, and my Uncle Chris was boat 50. We were culling by the time he passed us.
Wow.
We had 20 pound. Well, that day they moved it to a 3 fish limit, and we had 20 pounds before we left Wolf. Went down lake and culled. We ended up getting second. We had 3 for almost 15 that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at this time of year, you can really actually find them at any part of the lake. It's pretty awesome.
It's a fish factory, that's for sure. I mean, just from, I fished Grand when I was a little bit younger, and then I kind of got burned out on it just a little bit and fished some stuff over at Stockton for a few years. And then this year, me and my team partner decided to start fishing Grand again, and holy cow, it's a fish factory. I mean,
it's good. And I think it's going to be really good. I was talking to somebody, and they were talking about how they had stocked it with a bunch of this tiger strain fish in it. And I think that's what's, there's a ton of 10 to 12-inch fish in Grand right now. And I mean, you can catch them basically at will, it seems like. And that, I think they were talking about, that's those fish they put in a couple of years ago that started as 4-inch fingerlings or whatever. And they said they're just basically a more aggressive strain that can still live in cold water. So, I mean, if that's the case, then the future looks pretty good, I think.
I found a school of those practicing for the BFL, and I mean, there was like 30 of them in the school down in like 20 foot of water almost on the bottom. And it was ridiculous with an A-rig, but like you said, they're 12-inch fish, they don't do you any good.
No. Give it a couple of years and they should be in good shape.
Yeah. So day one, you said you caught somewhere around 20-ish in your best 5.
Yep.
Had decent success. So did you decide day 2 to change locations? I mean, I heard you say earlier, you got lucky, which I'm not going to lie. There's a little bit of luck in fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Because there is a chance, even if you do set the hook, you can lose him on the way to the boat. It is what it is. But obviously you did something right, So did you change locations? What did you do different on day 2?
Pretty much the same thing. I mean, we actually started up lake both days and ended up down lake both days. I mean, the place that I caught the big one, I pulled up to the same exact spot the day before at 11:15, 11:30, and had a 4:30, a 4, a 3:50, and I mean they were there. I just they didn't bite the first day. I guess the big one didn't bite the first day. So the second day I pull up there and it was second cast and I caught it off the same spot.
Wow.
So I mean we didn't change it. Only thing we changed different the second day was the place we started the first day we couldn't get on, so we moved over a different point and we fished super shallow, and I probably had 15 pounds on a spook that morning. It was fun. It was a blast.
Yeah.
But obviously no good. Great start for a tournament. Not a good start for the big bass.
Well, you might be the guy I watched that morning.
Maybe, I don't know.
Catching them on a spook.
Yeah, we caught a bunch.
What color is your boat?
Gray. Just basically a flat gray Nitro Z21.
What color is your power poles?
Gray.
No, different guy. I mean, you talk about the luck. I mean, we talked about this last week, and my luck was the other direction. First day, I caught a 4 pound. I caught that 4 pounder on a buzzbait right off the bat. And the second day, and later that day, I pulled on a point on the other side of the same cove and caught a 3.5 and a couple 3.5s and one close to 4 on a Carolina rig late in the day. None of them were big enough to weigh. But the next morning, I didn't know where to go. So I'm like, I'll just go to whichever one of those two spots nobody's on. Well, nobody was on either one of them. So I went to the buzzbait spot, and there was a boat that pulled on that point but went to the shallow end and power pulled down. And then a little bit later, before line's in, somebody came and set out on the end of the point. You know, they were about 100 yards apart from each other. And I watched the guys in the shallow power pulled down. I watched them catch fish after fish after fish on spook. And
yeah,
then,
they were. The second morning, it seemed like it was better. At least up shallow.
But then I watched the lady and the guy that were out on the deep end of the point throw a Carolina rig up there and catch fish after fish after fish and put them in the live well, put 2 in the live well, good enough that they were going to maybe weigh them. And, I just made the wrong decision,
Yeah, there's like I was talking about earlier when I pulled that one point, there was 3 boats, all 3 of us were casting at the same fish. I mean, it was the same deal. I was a lucky one, and I caught a 3.9 and a 3.5 on a Carolina rig, in the same school that they're fishing in. I mean,
yeah,
it's just, there's definitely luck to it, but yeah, I mean, those stinking fish they got their heads beat in for 2 days.
Yeah, they did.
So.
What's the so I'd like to give you a chance to plug any sponsor you want at this point. Rod, reel, line setup, lure setup. You said you're running a Nitro, which is great. I'm actually in the market for a boat right at the moment, and I just test drove a Z20 last weekend and really liked it.
It's a good color on you.
Test drove a Z21 2 weeks ago, and it was pretty nice. So, Alex, tell us your nuts and bolts of the day.
Yeah, so been with my dad and uncle have been with Nitro for a long time. So I've been in a Nitro and had bought my dad's year-old boats a couple years, and I finally was able to get on the team as well last year. So now I've got to deal with them, which is awesome, and appreciate that because I love the boat. It's a great riding boat. Those big waves down lake hurt, and so it's nice to have a boat that's wide and can handle that stuff. But other than that, throwing a Kistler 7.6 medium heavy cranking rod as a reel on a 6XD. Caught a bunch of fish on a 6XD this weekend. The rod that won it was the 7.6 medium heavy chromium by Kistler, and it was on a hair jig on 15-pound line, just bombing it out there. I think that this fish had just seen so many different, or I guess a lot of the same baits, really. A lot of crankbaits, a lot of jigs, a lot of Carolina rigs. They all catch fish. I caught fish on every one of those baits this weekend. But the hair jig was just something different You know, I mean, I know they still see them, but they just may not see it as much. And
you would be very surprised. That's a pretty sneaky lure.
yeah, well, I mean, it's a good one for sure. So there's some guys here in Tulsa. We have an awesome tackle store, Tulsa Tackle and Outdoors.
Yeah. So where's that at? If you don't mind giving up your little honey hole secret.
Yeah. So it's at 91st in Delaware. Basically, 91st or you know about Oral Roberts is at 81st and Lewis.
Yes.
Just south of there. There's a Home Depot, and it's right in front of the Home Depot. And they've got everything you can imagine. They have even all the Japanese-made baits. They've got it all.
Nice.
So it's a pretty awesome store. It's one of my good buddies that I actually fished against in college who started it. So they do a pretty awesome job.
Are you have you been around that area your entire life?
Yeah, I grew up in Sand Springs, just west of Tulsa.
Do you remember Okie Bug?
Okie Bait and Tackle?
Yeah.
And Broken Arrow? Yep.
Okie Bug. It was down by the Canes Ballroom, I believe, or something.
Oh, okay. Maybe not. There was one in Broken Arrow called Okie Bait and Tackle. And when Bass Pro moved in, it shut them down immediately.
Yeah.
But it was where we used to go, and you'd enter all your fishing pals when I was a kid. That's where you'd go enter, and they did a lot of like gift certificates at those kids tournaments. So we go in there and spend our money there. It was the only tackle, but real tackle shop that I remember having at least.
Okie Bug was one of those old school, back when you could smoke in a building and not get yelled at kind of places. You walk in, and I was young enough, I just ran straight to the back because they had an aquarium back, a freshwater aquarium back there full of giant bass, and they had somebody that would fix your reels in there on the spot. It was one of those just old school, really cool tackle shops.
Yeah.
But, the dim lights, the Marlboro cigarette smoke, the whole 9 yards,
Right. I don't remember going to that one, but yeah, the only one I remember was Okie Bait and Tackle.
I think it's been a while, but I think it was down by the Canes Ballroom area somewhere, or maybe the Brady Theater. Something. Okay. It was downtown.
Okay. I'll have to look it up, see if I can find it.
I've actually got some lures that Okie Bug used to pour some plastic lures, and I've got some original packaging Okie Bug stuff.
Oh, nice.
So, pretty neat place, really. Honestly.
Yeah, that's cool. So, but
Don Butler ran the Okie Bug.
Really interesting. I know that name because he was
he's one of the first guys that started bass with Ray Scott, bass clubs and stuff with Ray Scott.
Outstanding. I've probably seen him and didn't even have a clue who he was.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Didn't it? So we get it. There's our first shiny object. Didn't, if I'm remembering the episodes of the cast this winter, didn't the nation start with like the Tulsa Club and the Memphis Club?
I think that was on there.
Yeah,
if I remember right.
Seems like that's how they were the two original, and Don Butler was part of that, obviously.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the nation, but those are the two clubs that Ray got together to have a tournament. That's the two guys that he would pit against each other. He would go to one and say, this Tulsa bunch thinks they can beat you guys over here in Mississippi, in Memphis. And, that's kind of what started it all, was the competition.
Yeah, he was an expert in getting guys mad at each other.
Yes.
There was also a rod builder, or a place that we used to go. My grandpa custom wrapped rods for guys for years, and he would buy I think they were St. Croix rod blanks at a building somewhere down there, right around that same area. So I spent numerous Saturday mornings in that area.
Yeah. I try to steer clear of that area nowadays.
Yeah.
I like people, but I'm not a crowd person, if you call it.
Yeah. So do you, I got to ask, is the money spent already?
No.
Yeah. Do you have plans to go on vacation?
Well, my wife said next year is our 5-year anniversary. She said, I want to go somewhere cool beforehand. So now I think I'm pretty much stuck on taking her somewhere cool for sure now.
Nice.
Wherever that entails, I don't know, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. So I think we are going to make the trek to go fish the Toyota Owners Tournament at Hartwell this fall.
That'll be fun.
So that'll be fun. Never been over there before. I went and watched my dad. He fished a Bass Nation Nationals there in 2017.
Yeah.
So we made I flew out there and watched him. So it'd be cool to go out there and fish it. So I figured if I fish enough big stuff, I might end up back there eventually. Probably be cool to go there and look at it one time.
I had the opportunity of fishing a Toyota Owners Tournament on Table Rock a few years back, and it was something. They really do it upright. They
do a really good job. I fished the ones at Table Rock. Excuse me, 2 or 3 times now, and they always do a good job.
Yeah.
The same year that Johnny Morris, the U.S. Open tournament went on.
Oh, okay.
So we fished that one as well.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago or something, wasn't it?
Yes, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That was fun. A lot of fun.
So you're a Z21 guy?
Yes.
So just curious, what's the biggest water you've had that boat in, besides Grand?
I was on Lake Erie last summer.
4 foot, 5 foot rollers. I mean.
Yeah, they were pretty big. Had it there. I've had it. Where else have I had it? It wasn't the Z21 XL, but there was a Z21. I took my dad's in college, and we fished a college tournament on Pickwick. I guess it was probably around 2018, and it was one of those deals where they'd got a bunch of rain, and so they were running a bunch of current through it. And the first day of the tournament, the wind was going against the current, and I was actually that was the only time I've actually ever been kind of scared. It was so big, you couldn't see over the next one.
Yeah.
So, but we made it. I've never taken a wave over the front of a boat, or front of this boat.
So that's actually something I was kind of wanting to ask, because I've been around nitro boats for a number of years now, but I've kind of been skeptical about buying one. And the reason why is an odd story. I was at a boat show, working an Albers boat show here in town a few years back. We had Brian Snowden as our guest speaker. And unless he was being like unusually safe, he told us when he takes his Z21, or back then I guess it was a Z9, to the Great Lakes when they make the northern swing, he takes an extra bilge pump, hooks it to his battery with alligator clips, and runs a hose literally from the floorboard of the cockpit over the side of the boat before he launches, before they start calling boat numbers.
So I'll tell you, I've heard the same exact story. My dad knows Terry Butcher.
Yes.
And when he was still on the elites, he did the same thing in his bass cap.
I find that odd. It's like, you guys are planning on spearing waves or what?
No.
It gets that big. I mean, I think you just get wet up there.
That's not why they do it. That's not why they do that. They do that for when they're fishing. So when you've seen it on video when they're out there on the lake and the boat's doing this, and they're fishing on the front and it's coming over. It's more for that than it is when they're driving. If you're the waves on Lake Erie, and Alex can tell you this, are totally different. An 8-foot swell on Lake Erie is way different than like a 3 or 4 foot swell here on Grant Lake. For one, they're further apart, like way further apart. Like you can't drive across the top of them.
No.
You know, you got to tack and, you know, drive like you can almost run like in the bottom for a while. Like if you do it right.
Yep.
Like I went fishing with Fletcher Tryon up there once, and I couldn't believe we were going out because I was like looking at the 4 and 5 foot swells, and I was like, this is not going to be fun. But it wasn't. It didn't. You know, once I realized he knew what he was doing and he could drive through these, and it was. I've been way more scared on Grand Lake than I was on Lake Erie with him. You know, just because of it's hard to describe. You almost have to experience it, you know, to know the difference.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, you definitely feel it looks scary up there, but yeah, you can like John said, you can run the swells and just go up and down, and it's not. I mean, yeah, it looks bad, but it really isn't that bad. I mean, I don't know if Danny locked down the first day at the river this year, but the first day down there at the river, I mean, it blew like 30 to 40 out of the north, and it was,
My back still hurts.
That was some of the roughest water I've been in. That was bad. I actually ran down to my first spot, fished for 5 minutes, and noticed that the wind had actually pushed the water out of the area and left and went back up by the lock. And I caught all my fish for 2 days by the lock to make nationals.
Wow.
So, yeah, I found some fish on a couple wing dams in practice, and was like, man, there's no way I can, because I was just flipping cattails down in Kerr, and it actually pushed like 10 to 15 inches of water out of there.
Golly.
And so I was like, well, I'm bailing on this, and ended up going back up by the lock, and yeah, the fishing got really tough. Practice was fun, but it got cold and windy, and it just made everything tough. And yeah, caught them all up on basically 2 wing dams for 2 days. But that was some of the roughest water I've been in a long time. It was nasty.
You know, that actually just answered, I'd like to do a kind of just a random question every week. And that actually just answered my one of my random questions is the worst boating experience you've ever been in.
That was pretty bad. That was some of the most sustained winds I've ever fished in. I mean, you couldn't get out of it. So yeah,
that just sounds like so much fun. I just can't wait to participate.
Yeah, it was not fun. It was the first time. It's actually the first time I've ever fished on the river, and I don't live very far from there. But yeah, so yeah, it was not overall a good experience just because I did well overall. But the fishing experience was pretty dang brutal.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that one. I don't know. I've fished some pretty cold. I don't like the cold at all. I'm a big sissy. I'd rather it be 110 degrees outside every day. And so any of the cold, rainy, windy days are, for me, I despise them.
Oh, it makes my lower back hurt just thinking about putting on all my rain gear. So
I can't fish in gloves worth of crap, and so I'm
Listen to this mess.
Yeah.
Good night.
I'm soft too, man.
I am a big softy when it comes to cold fishing. I'm not a fan.
Nope. You see this tan on my face? I'm like a lizard, man. I lay out in the sun naked. Just
wow.
So tan. Partially naked.
I cover up. I'm too white to do any of that stuff.
DB, you said you was on the river. How was the wind and the waves for you that day?
I would put that right in the top, the worst I've ever been in. That was, and my guy ran all the way across Kerr too.
I can't even
So,
imagine.
You said your back
Wow.
still hurts.
It still hurts.
I can see why.
I've never experienced it because I don't have that much experience down there, but my dad and Chris have told me that, Kerr is so flat that when it actually gets so big, it'll roll dry.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I could only imagine there were some places down there that probably did it that day if you didn't get out of it, or if you got out of the boat channel.
Hey, John, how'd that tournament turn out for you, buddy?
Oh gosh.
I got a new lower unit out of the deal.
He went there. I can't believe he went there.
And a new wheel on my boat trailer.
So did you just hit something? What'd you hit?
I don't know what it was. Rock pile, something. I hit it when I was idling, but I didn't go very far because I only fished the first. I hit it in practice, and then I hit it again in the first day. Different low. It was 50 yards away from where I marked, but something was across there that wasn't showing up, and it was in the middle of the channel. So I don't know what it was. And they lowered the lake. They lowered. So people probably normally drive over it, but
the last day of practice, I almost was scared I wasn't getting out. They lowered the Three Forks pool so much. I tried to get somewhere, and I literally had to I got my boat so stuck that I had to get out on, in the mud barefoot, and I actually picked up the nose of my boat and 180'd it just to try to get back out.
Golly, that's got to be trying.
And I was watching the water come out from underneath my boat. I could see the current as I'm pulling it out.
That's got to be fun. That's got to be trying.
It was not fun. a nitro weighs a lot, in case you're wondering.
That sounds like me out. That sounds like me out in front of Sycamore Creek, stuck in the mud. Couple, 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, whenever that last qualifier was, I run up there because I was going to do some river fishing and chickened out right in front of Sycamore Creek and right in front of the point up there.
Yeah, it's not fun.
No.
Not fun at all.
That rock pile, John, that story reminds me of the time I decided to go to Table Rock and shut the boat down on that hogback that's pretty much in the mouth of the James River. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one or not, but it's before I had like some really good mapping. I was just running on like one of those little X15s and full send, was going to run up the James, get up there and fish some of that stuff, and was looking, just gawking around at the beauty of Table Rock, and I looked down at my map and I seen this contour line that looked pretty crazy, and I looked down and shut down at the same time, and all I saw was boulders, and it was that big old monster, just freaking hog nasty, just out in the middle of nowhere hogback in the mouth of the James River, and I was like, oh my God. Luckily, somehow or another, I didn't scrape anything up, but pretty nasty one out there. I think they might have a buoy on it now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's not good. I think one of the worst I hit was down at the Red River. I idled over a stump with rebar in it. That was pretty bad.
Yeah, that'll do her.
Yeah, I think I qualified for a college national championship down there, and they stuck it on the Red River. Yeah, it was not a fun week. It was fun, but not a fun week. It's a tough place to fish.
I don't know if you've ever been up to Big Hill before or not, southeast Kansas, but It's just like your boat turns into a ping pong ball, and somebody's in an arcade room just ting 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 ting. Oh, we lost him.
We lost him.
He
Oh
must-
no!
Bing 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 bing.
There he is. Come on in.
Stand
I
by
don't-
for-
I don't know
Come
what
on.
happened.
You didn't want to answer that question.
I think I hit the back button on my phone. Sorry.
Oh,
I was just in the middle of making funny noises and essentially talking about our little home lake we fish tournaments on, how the boat turns into a ping pong ball, and there's some 5-year-old kid running the table on it because it just bounce, 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 bounce. If you get it in the wrong little spot, you can't get off any stump. It's miserable.
Yeah, that's not fun.
You got some battle scars on that Ranger, I'm assuming.
There's a few.
Yeah.
There's a couple from last weekend.
When I decide to list my boat, it's gonna the first part of the ad is gonna be, actually I might actually get with you, Alex. You're probably a good, decent at writing up listings. I'm gonna say good used boat.
There you go. I'll put this one as
It's been used.
yeah.
It looks
Yeah.
good though. It looks good though.
I try.
It looks
Buff-
better than mine.
Buff and wheel and a lot of elbow grease.
I don't do any of that.
I'm not very good about it. I'll be honest.
I wash it a couple times a year.
Just that's boat abuse.
No, I'm too tired. I'm worn out by the time I get done. I don't want to wipe it down.
Oh, I don't wipe it down until the following few days, but Old Blue, she's got to get a waxing about once a week at least.
No.
I'm not
Wow.
that dedicated. I'll get it cleaned up. I'll clean it up good before I sell it, and I'll clean it up, every now and again. But
Yeah, that's the way I am.
it's pretty tough because my wife and I have started fishing Thursday night jackpots down here on the river. So there's no point cleaning it every week if I'm gonna go to the river. So.
You see any of those barges come up through there?
Oh yeah, we drove by one on Sunday. Took her about I mean the river's not very wide up here in the Afton pool, so
Yeah.
it's we were probably 20 feet from one running by it.
They start sounding the horn at you and get the hell out of the way and all that stuff.
That guy didn't, but I know some of them will.
Yeah.
So
I put in there at the me and Moody put in at the Port of Catoosa one day to test drive a boat that he was thinking about buying, and unbeknownst to us, the fuel pump decided to take a poop on this river bend, and he couldn't get the motor started, and then here comes the barge, and it's sounding the horn. We're in the middle of the river, and I'm just about to have a come apart. I said, what do we do? Help, and he goes, get on. He's screaming at me, get on the trolling motor and take it to the bank. And oh my gosh. That was the first and last time I've been on the river.
it's probably good. I would never go back. It can be fun. Actually, the last day of that the divisional, I had 17 and a half pounds. It was, me and my co-angler had 11. I mean, we had a great day. I mean, there is good fish in the river. It just can be tough.
Yeah.
So
I will never know.
all you got to do is go back.
Not happening.
I wouldn't go back either if I lived on Grand Lake.
Not happening. So I got a question. You don't have to tell me what, how exactly you were fishing, but like if I was to fish the Monday nighters and I wanted to beat Doug and Steven, what are they doing?
I'm sure they're fishing. They're fishing off the bank. I mean, they have to be. I've seen Steven. I don't know him
He's throwing
personally,
a
but
jig?
he's got a wrapped boat. So, I mean, I've seen him around.
Throwing a football jig? I mean, he says he is, but I don't know whether he's telling the truth or not.
I don't know him personally enough to say one way or the other. I mean,
I think they're helping the local HCO tackle store out a little bit.
probably. I mean, like I said, it's a confidence thing, I'm confident in a crankbait. I love deep cranking. That's one of my favorite ways to fish. So I'll this weekend I'll be up there fishing a tournament. And I'll probably be doing that a lot. As long as there's current, I'm going to be throwing a crankbait. Carolina. I love
How deep
Carolina.
do you fish?
I caught that big one in 20. But I mean, it just depends on how clear it gets. It cleared up a bunch from Memorial Day weekend to the Big Bass weekend. So I would assume it's probably cleared up some more. And those fish will get out. I mean, they'll get out 30, 35 feet out there.
Well, you don't have to worry about John hitting any of that water because he only fishes from 0 to 5. So you're good, Alex.
Well, he's in a good part of. Hey, you're in Wolf Creek. I mean,
True statement.
You're far enough up there where you don't got to fish deep up there. You can fish shallow up there year round.
True statement.
And catch big bags up there year round shallow. So
I'm just thinking about fishing these Monday nighters, but they had 14 pounds last night. That's
I think first and second both had 14, didn't they?
Huh?
I think first and second both had 14, didn't they?
Yeah. And then last week they had 13 something.
Yeah.
Hey, how much glide bait movement is there down there?
I don't know. I mean, depends on who you ask. I like it.
Depends on who you ask. Okay.
Yeah.
We're good.
I throw it.
Yeah.
So it's a fun bait to throw. I know that.
It is. I love throwing it. We had some really, really good glide bait guys on here, younger guys on here last week. We were talking with them about it, and I mean, I was just in awe at what they were telling me. And of course, one of them, he adds me on Facebook, starts posting pictures. And how big was those fish, Danny? Did you see those?
Yeah, there were some 4s and 5s.
I mean, with the glide bait that they were throwing looked like it was like a 7 or 8 inch long thing, and I
think that was the OG clutch.
My gosh, I mean, if I was to start getting those in the mail, my wife would probably put my clothes out in the front yard. But
yeah, I do throw them. I mean, there's a guy here locally that makes them in Claremore called Biggs glide baits. I mean,
yeah,
sure.
James.
Yeah, James. Yeah. I know Ryan Biggs.
Oh, okay. Is that
James? It's
relation?
Not. No. Ryan, he's up here in Claremore. So, but he does a good job. I mean, I have some clutch swim baits. They're obviously really good as well. But
the bigs are pretty sweet.
Yeah, they're good. They're really good. He does a good job. So
the clutch and the bigs, I think, are about the same size. Yeah.
So Biggs has 4 different sizes. He has a Kraken, a Denali, a B1, and a Minnow. And the Kraken is like a 9-inch. I think Denali's maybe 7, and it goes maybe 5 and 4.
That glide bait game on Grand is all forward-facing sonar, John. I don't know if that tears you up a whole lot or not, but
no, it's not.
Hey, I've got one tied on, Kyle. So you don't know me.
It's like throwing a spook.
Those things are a blast to throw, but they can be heartbreaking. They can be absolutely heartbreaking. Just the amount of fish you see follow them is what's crazy. I mean, there'll be days whenever you legitimately have a fish every other cast behind that bait. So, I fish Keystone Lake a lot, and it's it's a good lake. Lots of 3 to 4 pounders in it. You don't see 6 pounders weighed very often. And one of the first days I took it out there, I had 24 pounds on it, and fished a tournament the next weekend, and I saw 2 or 3 behind it. I don't know how big they were. I mean, they looked like they were over 7 pounds. it gets the curiosity of fish that I feel like most baits don't. So, but it's cool. It's fun to throw. You get a good workout doing it.
I got a
what do you throw?
message from Chris
what do you-
Breminger saying, Kyle, you're not right.
What do you throw it on, Kyle? What's your setup? Or Alex? I mean,
Oh, sorry.
I don't care what Kyle's setup is. What's your
I
setup?
knew that. That's why I was staying quiet.
It just depends on the glide bait. So those bigger ones, I have a Kistler. It's called the Kistler Big Country rod, and it's designed for glide baits. And it's like a 710 heavy or extra heavy rod, and it's got a big handle on it. It does a really good job. But those smaller baits, those like that Clutch Eco that he just came out with recently, it's really good. And like that, the Biggs B1, I throw it on just like a 7.6 heavy. It's got to have a good tip to it. As long as you have a good tip. I know I've seen people debate over mono versus fluorocarbon. I haven't been able to tell a huge difference. I mean, I've actually started adding a little swivel on my back hook just to let that hook rotate and not let the fish throw the weight of the glide bait around.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like the clutch that I have, they've got built-in swivels, at least on the Ecos, in the bait, which is a pretty cool design. But,
Yeah, we had some youngins on last week, and they said that they threw mono, 20-pound big game. That's all they threw.
It's good. I mean, like I said, I've caught a bunch on both, so I haven't noticed a hookup difference really either way. I mean, so.
Yeah, I mean it's just like crankbait fishermen. You know, one of the best old school crankbait fishermen that, in my eyes, ever existed was David Fritz, and I think he threw all his stuff on braid.
Oh, really?
He wanted to feel, and I don't know if maybe it was because the rods were a lesser product back in those days. I'm not going to say they were junk compared to now, and then, you know, the best crankbait fisherman that just retired, Kevin Van Dam, you know, I mean, he was fluorocarbon. So
Yeah.
I think it's just preference.
Yeah. Like deep cranking, I throw 12-pound fluorocarbon only.
Yeah, I mean, you can feel so much better with fluoro, in my opinion. And today's rods, the way they're designed and the materials that they use, and I fortunate enough, I have some decent rods myself, so I don't need to use braid to feel my crankbait and know what I'm cranking it through. But
Right.
Danny's giving me a dirty look. I don't know what that's for, but are you a braid guy, Danny?
No.
I'll tell you a braid story so the first time I fished a Bass Nation divisional, I think the year I got married, 2020, down at Toledo Bend in the fall, and Mike went down, Mike Turner traveled with me, and we practiced all week, and he threw I remember we were fishing out deep on Toledo, and he pulled out a Carolina rig, and it was just straight braid.
Oh, wow.
Straight, bright, yellow braid.
Oh, wow.
It was awesome. He still caught fish. It was awesome, though, man. That was a fun week with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We drove through a hurricane to get to that stinking tournament. I remember that.
Is Mike Turner the guy that puts the corn nuts on his Facebook page all the time?
Yes.
Yep.
What? In a real summed up short story, can you explain that to somebody that's just completely oblivious to that whole joke?
Well,
or is it proper for a Facebook Live?
yeah, there's nothing improper about it or anything bad at all. It just got to be one of those things where, oh, you guys didn't catch any? Oh, well, you didn't have corn nuts in your boat.
Oh, okay. Superstition kind of deal.
And it
Good
just
luck charm.
snowballed from there. So when we had the old 4-man team series, he and his 3 partners had jerseys made and on that all said corn nuts on them, and the sleeves, each one of them was a different flavor. One was like ranch, and one was chili lime, and one was OG, and
Nice.
yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I just, curious mind.
Oh, Alex, what's next for you? What's next on the list?
I'll be at Grand the next 3 weekends, so a lot of Grand Lake. I've got a little qualifier deal here. I'm fishing for Oklahoma this weekend. Next weekend, there's a little fundraiser tournament on a Sunday for I think Fairland fishing team. Andy Littlejohn for his son. They have a tournament on Sunday. So I might actually need to book a room at John's place that weekend. I guess I better get online.
Yep.
And then the following weekend's Future Bass, and it's 2 days of tournaments. It's just 2 separate tournaments in 2 days, Saturday and Sunday.
I'll see you down there. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, as long as they're running current, it'll be good. If they're not, it'll suck.
And we are staying at the Lake Lodge at Grand Lake, so.
It'll
Well,
it
Moody
could be fun, but it could be tough too. So, but after that, July and August are pretty slow. So I'll probably spend quite a bit of time up at Grand, just idling around, kind of looking around for the Bass Nation deal this fall. And then come September, I'll fish the BFL, Nichols Championship, all that stuff. So that's it. I think if my schedule fits, I might come up and fish that Melbourne deal like I was talking to you, Danny. So
cool.
Never been up there before, so it'd be cool to go up there and see that lake.
It won't take long.
Won't take long.
Nope.
That's all right. So I've always enjoyed going up and fishing the Kansas stuff. Good group of guys, always fun to be around. So
Well, you're always welcome.
Fun to come up there and hang out. And fishing. I just like fishing new lakes, so it's always fun to go see a new body of water. I enjoy that a lot.
It's definitely, you Okies make things more competitive, so it's definitely an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, it's fun. So hopefully fish cooperate. I know it's September. I'm pretty sure anywhere is tough in September, maybe except up north, but anywhere down south, it's usually pretty tough in September, I think.
Float and fly.
Float and fly, huh?
Wow.
Not.
You might see one tied on. You never know.
Dominic Cavett says, congratulations, Alex.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, what about you, Danny? What do you have? What are you fishing?
Yeah. Some. I don't have anything scheduled until August. Man, I just want to go fishing.
Why don't you come over to Big Hill Saturday?
Well, I was hoping to do that, and I don't know that it's going to happen. So, with other responsibilities that I have, I might just have to chuck them and come down anyway.
I mean, if you change your mind, you can hop in with me.
It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a real good time. Hopefully we get some boats for that, We'll see. I've got a lot of ideas brewing. I definitely think that if this pans out the way I hope it will, that next year possibly have 2, maybe one in the spring, one in the fall, or maybe 3 spring, summer, fall kind of deals. But we'll see how it goes. I think if it goes well, then next year I'll try to leverage some sponsors to maybe give up some decent little giveaways and just kind of try to make it something that we do once a year or twice a year or something. We'll see.
Hey, Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Chris Brimiger asked, what is Saturday? If you want to go over that real quick with everybody.
Yeah, so, Cherryville Bass Club is just essentially, we're having an open tournament, no membership fee required, open event on Big Hill Lake, Mound Valley Boat Ramp. We're going to start the registration at 5 o'clock in the morning. We plan on launching at 6. We're going to fish until around 2:30. The entry fee it's a team style event, so the entry fee is $100. $10 side pot for big bass. We're going to pay 80%. We're planning on paying 3 places, and based on the number of boats, we may pay more. The plan is to pay 3, and we're a bass club. We're a smaller bass club. We're keeping 20% of it. We've had some situations in the past come up that we've given some money away for and this and that. And so that's kind of my reason of coaxing the club into doing this once in a while, at least starting this year, is just to, raise a little bit of money for a slush fund. I think this winter, I'm going to try and talk to guys into getting a new set of scales just to have a backup set and just go from there, Hopefully we'll have a good crowd, and like I said, we'll see how it goes. We'll talk about it next week.
Cool. What in the world was that?
Somebody dropping the gavel on somebody.
Dropped a pin.
Oh. Dropping the gavel on you.
I was just thinking how great the fishing was at Big Hill too.
Yeah, it was still just a little touch and go for me. I'm not going to dwell on something that I did wrong, but like I made the comment earlier, you lose a fish halfway to the boat, you can't control it. It's just, there is some luck factor, and I'm kind of the same way as Alex. I like throwing the crankbait in the summertime, and June is, I've said it before, is my favorite month to fish also. And I put brand new treble hooks on my Series 5 XD Sexy Shad, and I was chucking and whining like crazy, and I had a 3.5 pounder come unbuttoned halfway to the boat and have no clue why or how. And then lost another 3.5 pounder on a shaky head of all things, and a 7.6 Denali flipping stick and a Freedom Tackle 3/8 ounce shaky head that Jeremy Lawyer designed. And I put the wood to that fish, was only maybe a 40 yard cast, and dragging it back to the boat, got a bite, set the hook, and it came up and jumped and just spit the worm right back at me. So it only took 12 something to win. And I was thinking I lost it, and I knew I did. And it was 8 o'clock in the morning. I figured I'd get some more bites, and I just really never did. So.
John?
I never got a big bite. I had 8.5 pounds. Kyle beat me by 1.5 pounds.
And I beat you by 1.5 pounds, and that big one I had was at least 4.5 pounds. I had 2 dinkers in the boat.
And Failer won it with 12 something, and I had 8.5. So you get a big bite, you get a 4 or a 5 like Kyle had, and you win that tournament. Just one fish. So I want to say this because I don't want to deter anybody that is planning on coming and fishing. I don't want to get them in a bad mood before they get to the boat ramp. I think the fishing is getting better, and historically, our tournament director keeps the records from since our club was
was opened up. Historically, the hotter it gets, the better the lake gets. So,
Oh, it's definitely getting better. I mean,
Yeah.
you and I've been fishing tournaments there for the last 3 weeks or whatever, and
yeah,
3 weeks ago, I think I had 6 pounds and whatever it was, and we did have a good tournament, Moody and I, but the rest of the field didn't. It really was a pretty, for at the Stong thing, we had 14 pounds, but the rest of the field really didn't, and it really has been getting a little bit better. Like the big bass each week has been getting a little bit bigger. I think what Mac had a
508.
yeah, Mac had 5 something, and there was a couple others that were close to that. So it is. I'm with Kyle. I think the fishing is getting better. It just isn't great. It isn't what it typically is. I think it's a little late. So maybe next weekend might be or this weekend, I guess it is.
This weekend. I should have said that. It's Chris, if you're listening and you haven't already hit cancel, June 15th. So Saturday morning.
Yeah, it's this weekend, and I mean, I do think it is getting better. Like I mean, y'all know where I fish. I fish up the freaking creek, and I had it pretty much to myself. Cody came up there later in the day and wanted to fish a spot I was sitting on, and I pulled on that spot that he was wanting to fish, and saw a fish. The only reason I stopped on it was I saw a fish blow up on it, and I made 6 casts and caught 5 fish.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and one of the best months to fish the lake is June, is right now. So, and finally that nasty whatever cruddy grass that we had, it finally died off. So, somebody that utilizes their forward-facing sonar like I do can actually see something besides just a bunch of hazy, cruddy-looking grass. So that's exciting.
I still don't understand that. I don't understand that at all.
I don't like the fish hiding. I want to be able to see them.
I mean, I don't understand where the grass goes. I've never seen anything like it.
That I know, and I tried asking you.
Alex,
about that.
This place, a month ago, you go in the back of a pocket, and there's so much grass you can't trolling motor through it, and now it's gone.
It's like the water temperature turns, I don't know, 70-ish degrees or whatever, and it just starts dying.
Really?
And it doesn't grow until the water temperature gets above 60.
Yeah, it's like it's there for a couple months and it's gone.
And then poof, it's a ghost town, and you can take your forward-facing sonar and go, oh, there's a tree. It's got a bass in it. I'll go ahead and flip to it 50 times until I get him to bite. Okay, and then move to the next.
I don't think I got 50 flips kind of patience.
Yeah, you definitely do.
Or you can put the trolling motor down and go up the freaking bank and catch the limit.
I like doing that too, I promise. That was one thing that I actually thoroughly enjoyed about fishing the river in April was I never turned my live scope on for 3 days. Or for 5 days, including practice. It was fun just going fishing.
Right.
I do like live scoping, but I also love just going power fishing.
And we hear that a lot. We're not gonna get negative or anything on forward facing sonar, because I think there's a place for it, and to each his own. I'm not gonna do it. I'm too old. I'm not gonna learn it. I'm just not. I'm gonna do what I do, and I'll get beat a lot, but I'll get lucky once in a while. But I do hear what you just said quite a bit from the quote unquote scopers that they do enjoy turning it off once in a while and just fishing.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
but I wouldn't say I'm a big scoper. I mean, I look at it anytime I'm fishing. I do look at it,
yeah.
but I don't ever.
But I mean,
Rarely am I out.
even the guy. I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and there's, Patrick Walters. He said it. He's like, there's days where I'm catching them and catching them and catching them and seeing them and seeing them and seeing them, but it's not as fun as going down the bank or catching the top water, fish or whatever. There's times when it's a blast where you're seeing them and they're eating good and you're catching them every other cast. That probably is fun, once you know how to do it. But there's times when you're just staring at that thing. This is coming from guys that do it. There's times when they just stare at it a lot and they long for the times when they can just go fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, I don't want to speak for you, but I mean, are you like me? Is it just another tool in the tackle box? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, kind of depends on the time of year. I mean, like I said, I use it a lot, but it mainly is just a tool. I feel like. I mean, I run two up front. I've got a turret with one, and I've got one on my trolling motor shaft. And that's pretty new. But yeah, no, it is pretty much just a tool, and it's a useful tool for sure.
yeah.
But it is it was fun to just turn all that off and go put a chatterbait and a frog in my hand and go down the bank.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I won an event, a smaller tournament this spring on a forward-facing sonar only. But I mean, I'm still one of those guys that I might go out and try to pick one off of a point, and the next cast put it on high and get right up there on the bank and frog a piece of grass or something too. So
if I ever get good enough to actually catch fish using it, it will probably be more how you use it, Alex. Is just, finding brush piles, finding a school, whatever, and then casting my Carolina rig or whatever out to them, that.
Yeah. I mean, that in that aspect, it's awesome. And I love it because like even last weekend in Big Bass Bash, I basically hit a guy's trolling motor with my Carolina rig, and I caught a 390 underneath his trolling motor because of it. I mean, he was so dialed in to live scope that they came up blowing shatter on his trolling motor and he didn't even know it. I wish I had a video of it.
wow.
And he was sitting there on his live scope throwing 50 feet to the right of his boat. They came up on the left side of his trolling motor, and I could see them all. And on my live scope, I'm sitting there looking at his, and I throw a Carolina rig out there and catch one almost full underneath his trolling motor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a point, and I think there's a lot of people out there that have it that don't know how to use it, and they're just so they see. You see the pros use it, and it looks easy, and it's not easy. It is so hard.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but no, yeah, I definitely use it to, like, right now. I mean, yeah, you can find fish on it, on points or whatever at Grand, or look at even in brush pile. What's nice is you can go up to a brush pile, and more times than not, there's a fish in there or not before you even make a cast. That's what's nice about it. Then you can move on. So, but that's about the extent of it for me.
I agree. I definitely agree.
Well, guys, we've reached that magic time once again. We didn't even get on a good rant or anything tonight. We
Not really.
just visiting and enjoying Alex, and we're an hour and a half into this thing. That quick.
It went quick.
I'll be honest with you, man. I'm happy for you and congratulations. And I speak for all of us in saying, we really appreciate you coming on And to all the viewers and the listeners and stuff out there, I mean, I saw a bunch of people sharing this podcast across Facebook today. I think it's pretty cool. We're starting to try to grow our support network a little bit. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. So just keep doing it. And Alex, if you have some success in the future, hopefully we can have you back on.
Yeah, I had a great time. I'm glad you guys invited me on. Always fun coming on talking fishing.
Heck yeah. So do I get the weird question of the night again, or?
Go for it.
Okay, we do this every week. Something just random off the wall. Sometimes it's food. Sometimes it's whatever.
Last week it was aliens and Sasquatch.
Oh, dude. Hey, I looked that up. I listened to it. I'm a believer.
Yeah.
By the way, the
I
Brandon
think
Polinick thing.
I think he found a UFO.
I believe he did too.
Yeah.
So we're not even going to get onto this UFO thing. We don't have time. We could be here till next Tuesday. So tonight's random question: if you weren't a bass fishing freak, if you didn't fish bass tournaments, what would you do? Would it still be something competitive? What would you do if you didn't fish bass tournaments? Kyle?
That's an easy one for me.
Me too.
Very, very easy for me. So I've kind of got a secondary hobby. I work on equipment, and I manage a service shop in Joplin for a day job. Used to work at a boat mechanic shop, Albers Marine, when I first started turning wrenches. Now, for fun and a hobby, I've started a restoration on a Jeep. I'd have
Cool.
a Jeep collection. I would have a really, really nice Jeep collection. It's just something that brings back memories from when I was a kid riding in my dad's. I'd have a Jeep collection. And I'd be a professional vacationer.
Well, sweet.
So, probably be in the Caribbean or something.
John? If you weren't a fisherman, what would you be?
I'd be in a hair band.
Hell yes. I knew that was coming. Well, for the younger boys that are listening, you should clarify that and say in another hair band.
I would relive my childhood. I would love to be in, maybe not a hair band, any band at this point. I would love to be in a band right now.
What kind of music are you playing?
What do I play?
Yeah, what kind of? Let's.
I mean, I like all kinds of music, but my XM buttons in this order are The Message, which is Christian station, Hair Nation, Lithium, Ozzy's Boneyard.
Ozzy's Boneyard.
In that order.
Nice.
Very cool. That's very cool. I wondered if that's where you were going to go.
Oh, yeah.
So, Alex.
That's easy.
What I hate, right, and I have to tell this right now or I'll forget. I used to have a YouTube link saved that had an old video of John singing in a rock band at Cloud County Community College. And it's no longer on YouTube because I searched it. I had other people search for it when we did the first ever master class in Salina a couple of years back because I wanted to play it for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But it's no longer there. So, Alex, if you weren't a bass fisherman, what would you do?
I'm a very competitive person, and what's actually funny is I played college ball at Cloud County. I don't know if you knew that.
I did know that.
Yeah, so tore my shoulder up, of course, so I didn't play much after that. But
Probably slipped down the stairs at the rock quarry.
man, they closed it the year after I left, so I got to live the rock.
Because you slipped down the stairs?
No,
Oh.
probably other reasons, but luckily I got to live through it. So, man, this is gonna sound crazy, but I got into bowling a couple years ago, and it's pretty dang fun.
There you go.
Me
Well, that's
and
cool.
I like competition. I'm a super competitive person, and so I like to win. And we got into it, like my wife, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, all of us kind of started to. We haven't done it in probably a year, but for a couple of years we did it, and it was pretty dang fun, honestly.
Very cool.
Yep. Would
So
your bowling shirt be like wild? Would you have hair like that one guy? What's that guy's name? It's got the afro.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Kyle Troop or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Stroop.
No, I can't grow that hair. My hair's not very good. My dad didn't bless me with good hair. So I'd probably just keep it the way it is and hope for the best. So, what about you, Danny?
Competition barbecue.
Ooh. Can I come eat?
Yeah, I guess you're grilling
Sure.
next time I'm around you.
Sure. And it's always been kind of a sideline when my boys were younger, and I've been asked to coach other teams since. Basketball coach would be on the list.
That's cool.
Cool conversation, guys. We had a great time tonight.
Competition barbecue, name of the team.
Oh, good night, Kister.
That's not a good name. Good night, Kister. You don't want that to be the name of a barbecue team. I mean, come on. Actually,
that's kind of cool. Would be kind of cool. Good night, he kissed her. I don't know. Idle Zone Syndicate, maybe.
Okay. Enough said. Mic drop.
Boom. Oh, one more shameless plug. Folks at home, thanks for watching. We've had your undivided attention for an hour and 33 minutes. And I can't believe it. We have no problem going over time. There's never a problem going over time. The only problem we ever have is A, sticking to a subject, and B, not coming back to the subject of UFOs and Brandon Polinick again. Because I think we're going to bring that up every single week from now on.
Maybe. Maybe we can get Brandon on.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. That, Big Daddy, that's going to be your call to make.
I'll call him. I'll text him.
Because, I text Alex this morning and said, hey, what are you doing? Are you free for an hour and a half tonight? Oh, yeah, probably. You want to be on the podcast? Cool. Very simple.
That was easy.
Yeah. That was easy.
Yeah. I'm glad you did, though. I had fun. I'm glad I got to come on here.
Man, come back anytime. Glad to have you.
For sure. Thank you, guys.
We'll stay in touch on that Melbourne deal. I'm working on a little something else, somewhere to stay.
Okay.
So,
that'll work.
I'll see you at the end of the month.
Yeah. If you see me, come up and holler at me.
Will do.
So
Congrats again.
Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Congratulations,
Absolutely, man. That's awesome.
Another round of applause.
Absolutely. Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for
See you
watching
later.
at home.